Hi, I'm Marla, and I'm with Clinical Cannabis today, and we're here at Patients Out of Time down in Tucson. And I am speaking with Ryan Hurley, who's a partner with Rose Law Group, and he also heads up the medical marijuana group for them. Thank you for joining us today. I just am going to hand you the mic, and I'd like you to give all of us just an update on what is going on and the big days coming up on the 14th, and just kind of get your perspective of this road that we're about to travel.
Well, thank you for having me on, first of all. It's great to be here down in Tucson for this wonderful Patients Out of Time conference. The good news is that Arizona is progressing forward. After some delays, our governor was a little reticent to move forward, and fortunately the lawsuits that she brought got thrown out of federal court, and the last barrier was removed. The Department of Health Services is now moving forward with the dispensary application process. So May 14th through the 25th will be our window to apply for dispensaries, and hopefully, all things willing, we'll be having dispensaries by the end of fall.
Wow. So can you give us a projection on how many applicants you think are going to be applying?
Yeah, it's difficult to say just on the number of applicants. I mean, there's theoretically 124 licenses available statewide. My best guess, you're going to see somewhere between 50 and 70 of those awarded this time around. At least double that number of applicants, maybe triple number of applicants. But I think probably only about 70 will get awarded just because of the nature of the way they're distributed around the state and the Indian reservations not participating. So there will be an opportunity next year.
So with the Indian reservation, I thought that was only, correct me, you are the legal guy, but I thought there was only 9 of them. So if you take 9 from 24, that'd be 115. And if you really think only 75 licenses would be issued, how does that, I don't understand that. Maybe I have the math wrong.
Yeah, I think though there's at least 18 or so that are wholly encompass the CHAWs, the community health analysis areas that are the geographic distribution of the licenses. I think there's approximately 18 that cover Indian reservations in and of themselves.
Okay.
So there's 18 right there that are absolutely not going to get awarded. Then you look at cities like Chandler and Gilbert, where the zoning restrictions that they adopted were so incredibly restrictive that to date, very few people, if any, in some of those CHAWs have been able to find properly zoned locations.
Right.
So there's at least another 5 or 6 in that vein where people are not going to be able to apply. And then there's a handful of CHAWs that are just so undesirable and so unremote, like Ajo, for example, that I don't anticipate anybody really wanting to apply there. Is there one there that's applying? Right. So we'll see what happens. I could be wrong, but my best guess is somewhere between 50 and 70, maybe 80.
Ryan, can you tell me about, real quick to that question, your answer, will those be distributed into the other CHAWs, or will they just be erased until next year?
Right, so they will be essentially on hold until next year. And then next year what happens is they will see if anybody applies then in that CHAW. Obviously on the Indian reservations they're not going to. If nobody applies in that CHAW, then they essentially get allocated to the CHAWs that have the most patients.
Okay, great. And so tell me about, I think it's Yuma County. I think that they were open for business a year ago, and I have heard now that the county attorney is refusing to send out zoning letters for locations that are basically zoned properly, and even if they've sent them out, they're reneging on them or taking them back. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know specifically about Yuma County, but Maricopa County, the Maricopa County attorney is not a big fan of this and has taken the same position. He essentially has directed his board and his zoning staff to refuse to issue use permits in the county, in the unincorporated county areas. So it wouldn't surprise me if the county attorney in Yuma has done the same thing. Essentially what they're relying on is there's a provision, and usually in most zoning codes, that says you can't issue a use permit for something that's unlawful. And they're taking the opinion that this is still unlawful despite what the voters of the state have said, and that's unfortunate.
Do you think there'll be any lawsuits coming up against these counties? It seems like it's all the counties, not the cities, but the counties, I would think that since after what's happened with Jan Brewer and her losing that fight, do you think that there's going to be a big battle, or do you think they'll just basically surrender?
Yeah, no, I think there are definitely battles coming in that front, and I think they'll be both at the county level and at the municipal level, places like Chandler and Gilbert, for example, because the law does not allow them to zone these out. It allows them to put in reasonable zoning restrictions. Well, if you're not allowing a single permit to go forward, it's de facto unreasonable. So I would imagine as people are jockeying for the remaining licenses that are around next year, there are going to be some lawsuits to try to move people off the fence so they can position themselves to obtain them.
Is now the time to position yourself for these extra, let's say if there's 80, then that would be 44. Is now the time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the sooner the better. First of all, the way that DHS has revised the rules now, they can give 30 days notice of any time they want to take another set of applications. I don't think it's going to be until next year, but it's not set in stone as in April of every year as it was, in the original draft of the rules. So absolutely, now is the time. Even if you don't want to go forward with litigation, there's opportunities to work with city councils to say, look, your zoning ordinance is unreasonable. Let's work together. Let's find a good location and let's modify the zoning ordinance.
Great. So how do the watchers get a hold of you or contact you for assistance in this application process?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. You can go to our website, www.roselawgroup.com, or email me directly, rhurley@roselawgroup.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan. And thanks for watching.